Okay, let's talk about cold calling. Yeah, I know what you're probably thinking. Dusty old rotary phones, maybe some super aggressive salesperson. There's this big rumor floating around that, in our super digital world, the cold call is basically a dinosaur. But is it? Today, we're going to look at the actual data and find out if it's truly dead or if it's a powerful tool that most people just don't know how to use right.
So let's just get right to it. The million-dollar question, right? Is cold calling really actually dead? You've heard it a million times that social selling and content marketing and all that new stuff has replaced it. And you know what? It's a fair assumption to make. But what if the numbers tell a completely different story? Let's start with this number, 69%. So what is that? Well, that's the percentage of buyers, we're talking nearly 7 out of every 10, who've actually taken a call from a new company in the last year. Now, that doesn't sound very dead to me, does it? It sounds like people are still very much open to a call as long as you're not wasting their time. And check this out. It gets even more interesting when we look at who is picking up the phone. A whopping 57% of C-level buyers, the top decision makers, the big bosses, they actually prefer being contacted by phone. Think about it. They're crazy busy, and a straight to the point call is way more efficient for them than a long email chain. And here's the final punch, 42%. Organizations that totally gave up on cold calling, they saw 42% less growth than those who kept it in their toolkit. I mean, that's not just a missed sale here or there. That's a huge hit to the company's growth. So I think the verdict is pretty clear. Cold calling isn't dead, not even close. It's just evolved. So now that we've busted that myth and we know why you should still be calling, let's switch gears and talk about how. Because this is where the real skill comes in. We're going to walk through the absolute must-dos that separate a call that works from one that just gets you a dial tone. These are your winning plays. First up, your opening. You have seconds, literally seconds, not minutes, to grab their attention. Your goal in the first 30 seconds isn't to sell your entire product. It's to sell them on giving you the next 30 seconds. You've got to be super clear who you are, what your company does, and, this is the most important part, what incredible value you have for them. Be a leaser, not a floodlight. Now, this next one, it might actually surprise you. The most successful cold calls, it turns out, have a talk-to-listen ratio of about 55 to 45. Yeah, that means the salesperson is actually talking a little bit more. But hold on, this doesn't mean you just monologue at them. The key is that your 45% of listening is super active. You're using what they tell you to guide your 55% of talking, so you're always relevant. This is a brilliant little mind trick. Instead of being afraid of rejection, what if you made it the goal? Seriously, set a target for how many no's you want to collect every day. This totally gamifies the whole thing and takes all the sting out of hearing no. It makes you want to pick up the phone because every no is now a little win, and funneling enough, it gets you that much closer to a yes. You know they say timing is everything, right? Well, it's especially true here. The data is crystal clear. The absolute sweet spot for making a cold call is on a Wednesday afternoon between 4 and 5 p.m. Why? Well, people are kind of winding down for the day, maybe they're a little more relaxed and open to a chat. And the worst time? Not a huge shocker, Friday afternoon. Everybody's brain is already in weekend mode. All right, we've covered the good stuff, the do's. Now we have to talk about the other side of the coin, the don'ts. These are the classic mistakes, the little things that can absolutely destroy your chances before you even get to the good part. Please, please, please never start your call with, "Is now a good time?" It's such a weak opening, and you're basically asking them to say no. Let's be real, it's never a good time for a call you weren't expecting. You're just handing them the perfect excuse to hang up. Instead, just be confident and polite. "Thanks for taking my call," shows respect for their time, and it keeps the conversation moving forward. And in that same vein, you've got to stop apologizing. When you say, "I'm sorry for bothering you," you immediately sound like you're not important. But you are. You have something valuable to offer. A much more powerful way to go, especially if you're talking to a gatekeeper, is to ask, "Can you help me?" It's amazing how that one little question can completely change the dynamic and turn them into an ally. And here are a few other quick-fire mistakes to avoid at all costs. Don't sound like a robot reading from a script. People can tell, and they hate it. Ditch those awful filler phrases like, "I'm just touching base." Ugh, get to the point. And finally, stop thinking of the gatekeeper as an obstacle. They're a person, and if you treat them right, they can be the key that unlocks the door for you. Okay, we've got the fundamentals down. Now it's time to talk about the power-ups. These are the tools and the next level techniques that will take your cold calling game from pretty good to absolutely fantastic.
So let's talk more about that gatekeeper. Turning them into your best friend is actually a pretty simple 4-step process. 1. Get their name and use it. People love hearing their own name. 2. Ask them smart questions. Show you've done your homework. 3. Ask for their advice on the best way to connect with your contact. And 4, and this is so important, always be polite. Say please and thank you. They hold more power than you think.
This is how you mix the old school with the new school and make magic happen. Before you even think about picking up the phone, go prime your prospects on a platform like LinkedIn. Like one of their posts, comment on an article they shared. By the time you actually call them, it's not a truly cold call anymore. It's a warm call because they've seen your name before. It's a game changer. Look, you can't win today's game with yesterday's tech. There are 3 tools that are pretty much non-negotiable. First, a CRM to keep track of every single conversation. Second, an automated dialer, which will let you make way more calls in way less time. And third, a centralized place like Google Drive, where you can instantly grab and send relevant info to a prospect while you're still on the phone with them. At the end of the day, so much of this comes down to knowing when to call. And that's where trigger events come in. These are like buying signals flashing in bright neon lights. Did a company just get a new round of funding? That means they have money to spend. Did they just hire a new executive? That means new strategies are coming. Watching for these events lets you call at the exact moment you're most relevant to them. And that really brings this whole modern approach full circle, doesn't it? This quote says it all. It's not just about what you say or how you say it anymore. The real key, the secret sauce, is timing. It's about doing the research, watching for those trigger events, and making your move at the precise moment your product becomes the perfect answer to a problem they are actively trying to solve right now. So, as we wrap all this up, I want to leave you with one final question to think about. With all these new plays in your book, the next time you pick up that phone, are you just going through the motions, just trying not to get rejected? Or are you going in with a smart, data-driven strategy? And are you truly, genuinely playing to win? The choice is all yours.